It's not even giving what y'all said it was supposed to give. No, I wasted my money.
Hello you guys, happy May, although I already posted a video for May yesterday. And welcome to my April faves and fails. We're gonna be talking about the best and the worst products that I've tried in the month of April. So, I don't know, saddle up, buckaroos, because we're in for a ride. All right, I got my box of products. I like to take it the nice route. So we'll start with the best and then we'll move on. Just a reminder, these faves and fails, they're not like full-blown reviews, so like swatches, you know, all that other stuff. I might have some of them in here, but that's not the point of this video, so hopefully you enjoy. So a fave from this month, the Kiehl's Oil-Free Ultra Facial, well, let me say this right. The Kiehl's Ultra Facial Oil-Free Gel Cream for normal to oily skin types. So this is a new product, and then when I looked at some of the reviews on Sephora, it's a reformulation of a product that Kiehl's had before. I really like the Kiehl's Ultra Facial Cream as a night cream. I have oily skin, so it's, you know, in the warmer months, it's a little too heavy for me, but it is an amazing product, and I think, you know, it's a great selling product at Kiehl's for a reason. I also like their I don't know if it's called Ultra Facial, but they have an overnight mask that I really like. Like if you're in need of some extra, like, you know, like your skin needs a little something, something, a little extra hydration, moisture, that's something that you can kind of check out. Like if you just need like a little extra boost, one of many things you can check out. I like this. I love a gel cream. You know, I talk about gel creams quite often. Although a gel cream can be great for oily skin because they're extremely lightweight, they feel like almost nothing is on, but they hydrate really well. And I remember you can have oily skin and still be dehydrated because, you know, your skin needs a little water up in there, and then you need to moisturize it. It'll, you know, kind of lock that in. There are gel creams that are made for dry skin. This is just probably not one of them. Maybe if you have dry skin and it's really, really hot and humid where you are, but I still would think that this is not enough for dry skin at any time of the year. Anyway, very lightweight. I could wear this with sunscreens layered on top. I didn't really have an issue so far with anything like pilling or not meshing well together, or just like not, you know, just not like working well. I would say that if you try to wear this on a day when it's like colder out, you may feel like you don't have enough moisture in your skin. And that's something that can happen with gel cream sometimes, because like if you ever tried hyaluronic acid and you didn't put like a moisturizer or something occlusive on top of it, and you're in a really like dry climate, the hyaluronic acid, we know, holds 1,000 times its weight in water, but if you're someplace dry, it's going to pull that moisture from your skin, making you feel very dry very quickly. And the similar thing can happen with a gel cream, you know, in similar circumstances. So I like this, didn't have that issue. When it's hot and humid here, this is probably gonna be really nice for me as well. Another moisturizer that I like comes from Origins. This is the Mega Mushroom Relief and Resilience. They call it a fortifying emulsion, because I know if you live outside of the US, you might, you know, be familiar with some of these alternate terms for certain beauty products. But when you're in the US, sometimes it's like, wait, what's an emulsion? It's a moisturizer. I would say that this is a pretty universal moisturizer, because if you have dry skin, you'll love how moisturizing and hydrating this is. If you have oily skin, you'll like that as well. But during certain times of the year, like I do think that this might be a little bit too, as lightweight as it is, it's super lightweight, but as lightweight as it is, I do think that because it packs so much hydration in it, that it might be a little bit too much for oily skin as it gets warmer out. But what I would say also is you don't really need that much of this product if you have oily skin. Like I felt like, you know, just like a few little drops were enough. Like it just, oh my God. Now, I don't know if you can touch beauty products in the stores near you, but see if you can get just like a little bit of this and just feel the texture. Like it just feels amazing. Now there is a very apparent spa-like scent. It's kind of like, I would describe it as like spa-like and like greeny, which, you know, at first it's like, wow. But I actually like the fragrance. See, my thing with fragrance is that my nose has to actually like it. Now, obviously, if you're someone who's sensitive to fragrance, you want to make sure that, you know, you're looking at your ingredients and making sure that, you know, it's okay for your skin. You know, do a patch test if you're unsure before you just slather something all over your face. But this was a fave of mine. I also did a partnership with them on my Instagram, which if you want to check it out, you know, go over there, follow me over on Instagram. But yes, this was great, lightweight, hydrates really well, can work on a number of skin types. Just if you have oily skin, there may be certain times of the year, or if you live in a very warm climate, that might not be the moisturizer for you. So, moving on. Okay, so this next product, right? It's hard for me to put this in a category because it's something that I really liked. It was a fave in April, but it's not something that I actually need to have in my routine. It's like a nice to have kind of thing, and I was just like, should I even mention it? But then I was like, but I actually did like it. So it's the Origins Mega Mushroom Relief and Resilience Soothing Treatment Lotion, right? Here's the thing with this. So essentially, I would say that this is a toner, but it also helps to soothe the skin. So if your skin is feeling like, weather worn is not a term that I hear quite often around these skincare streets, but weather worn meaning pretty much that like the elements can affect your skin. This can happen especially here when it gets really cold and dry in the winter. Sometimes even if it gets hot and humid in the summertime, sometimes that heat from the sun can sometimes irritate your skin. And then it also gives you like that nice hydration, right? So again, not something that I need every day in my routine, but when I actually used it, I was like, oh, this is nice. So like, it's kind of like that, you know, in that this was nice, but I don't need it all the time kind of thing. But there may be a portion of you guys out there that, you know, having something like this would be beneficial in your routine. I personally don't use a hydrating toner in my routine every single day. It's just not necessary for me. There used to be this whole thing where you needed a toner because it balances the pH after you've cleansed. There are many arguments against that because, for one, cleansers aren't as harsh today as they were back in the day. Now, back in the day, you probably did need a toner after using some of these harsher cleansers. But cleansers today are made more on the gentle side than they were back then, so that like toner step isn't always necessary for everyone. So whether you use a toner or not, like as long as your skin is not reacting crazy, you're probably doing a good thing. Would you try a product like this? Do you have something like this in your routine? Let me know, and then this will be linked below in the description box if you want to get more information. All right, next up in my faves, the Paula's Choice Hydrating Gel to Cream Cleanser. So I got put on to this product from the homie with Sage. We did a lot. We did a live where we swapped skincare routines. I tried her bougie $1,000 plus skincare routine, and then, you know, she tried my, you know, a little bit of about $200, maybe a little bit less skincare routine. You know, you can check that out. I'll have it linked below. Both lives will be linked in the description box. But anyway, she loved this because when we influencers are creating content, especially when you're doing something like skincare, you have to do something several times to like get the shot, especially when you're trying to get like one of those like cleanser shots where you're like foaming the cleanser, where you see like, you know, the cleanser on. And that mess can be very irritating. So the fact that she said that, you know, she took several takes to try to get the shot that she wanted to get, and that the cleanser did not irritate her skin, I was like, oh, that sounds like what's up. So this was part of her nighttime routine. So I, you know, obviously picked it up for the live. But, you know, I kept it in my routine. I was using it off and on, and I actually really like this. It has a really nice texture. Texture is one of those things that just like gets me in skincare. Like if something has, I mean, obviously it has to have other things going for it. Like it has to actually work for my skin. But texture is something that can be like what I might reach for one product over the other for. But it's got this really nice, as it says, gel to cream feel to it. So it's a gel cleanser. You know, once you add the water to it, it is going to feel more creamy, and it's for all skin types. So although it says hydrating, you know, I didn't find it to be any like wonky on my oily skin. So let me know below if you have ever tried this cleanser or any Paula's Choice cleanser. Now, normally I like to keep my sunscreens for like my sunscreen videos, but there's two sunscreens in this video today. One of which is the Kiehl's Superfluid Daily UV Defense Broad Spectrum SPF 50+. This is something that's really lightweight. If you have oily skin, you'll like it because it's lightweight. But even if you have dry skin, don't rule this out. Dana from Skin of Color, we did a video together on her dry, eczema-prone, sensitive skin care routine. So make sure you check that out. But we did a live together talking about sunscreen, and she said she likes to use this one because she likes to layer. So she'll have whatever moisturizer she's wearing during the summer, and then she'll put this on top. So if you have dry skin, don't rule it out. But if you have oily skin, I think that this worked nicely in my routine, whether I had moisturizer on or not. I do think it's like, it was enough for me to wear it on its own. But like we said in a previous video, whether you use a moisturizer underneath and then you put your sunscreen on top, whether you wear the sunscreen on its own or whether you wear a moisturizer with sunscreen in it, it's all going to depend, and it's really based on your preference, your lifestyle, and a number of other things. So I will link a video for you to be up in the cards for you to check out for more information on that. So another fave this month, and this is something that it's like you don't need it, but I really like this. And I think that for even people, I got a lot of skincare people who don't wear makeup here, but maybe this might be a kind of product that you're like, okay, I could get with that though. So this is the Patrick Ta for brows shaping wax. So I got the clear and I got the tinted because I wasn't quite sure which one would have been the best for my brows. I do have to say that I wound up using the clear more often, but then I did use the tinted today. So it's like, well, which one do I like? I don't know, couldn't tell you. But this is essentially soap brows in a pretty container. So I feel like what you are really paying for here is the really pretty packaging. It's $20 for each one. I know sometimes I can be a little miserly with things, but there are certain things that I actually do, splurge on a little bit. And this would be something that I would kind of like splurge on a little bit because I actually do like the packaging. Packaging really matters to me, especially with makeup, just because, I don't own that much makeup and I just want it to be pretty. That's just my own personal preference, right? And then great packaging can help to preserve the product a little bit better for me sometimes. But anyway, essentially you could just get a bar of soap. Now it has to be like the clear kind, so not like your Dove bar soap or anything like that, because then the white, thick, the whiteness of the soap, or green if you do like Irish Spring or something like that, that's gonna be in your brow. So you want a soap that's relatively clear or like translucent. I'll pop a picture up because I can't think of a soap that's clear or translucent off the top of my head, but you'll see it when you see it. You'll know it when you see it. And it doesn't have to be like a certain price point or anything like that. Like essentially you can just take a spoolie, spritz it with some water, rub it against the soap, and then, brush it up in your brows, and that's going to give you that nice, like fluffed out, like kind of like model, editorial looking kind of brow. And the soap is going to help to like just keep the brows in place, and if you want to add your brow makeup to it, you can do that. So that's the really inexpensive way, but if you want something like cute, I did definitely like this. I liked how it kept my brows up in place, and it's the packaging for me. Like essentially it's the packaging for me because I could just do the same exact thing with a bar of soap. Now, one thing that I will say, because I haven't tried it enough to really call it a fail, but I did not really appreciate the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Freeze, which is a similar-ish product to the Patrick Ta. The Brow Freeze is more of like almost like a gel. I wouldn't even call it a gel. I would say it's more of like a cross between like a gel and like a silicone type of texture. And it did not hold my brows in place as well as the Patrick Ta did. So that one I'm gonna give to my friend Jennifer, because I'm gonna give it to my friend Jennifer. Now, next up, which may also be a makeup product that, skincare people who don't wear makeup might kind of be amenable to, the Fenty Pro Filt'r Soft Matte Powder Foundation. So I'm late on the game with this because I think this probably came out sometime last year, and I was just like, eh. But when I actually went in the store, and I went in the store to buy the skin tint, I was like, oh, what else is new here? And I just kind of like went over all the Fenty stuff. I actually really like this. Now, why I say some of the skincare people who don't wear makeup might like it is because, you know, we know mineral sunscreens, they just go mineral sunscreen, right? Now, why I say if you're a skincare person who doesn't really wear makeup, why you might be interested in something like this is because, you know, it's something that you can probably use to get rid of some of that white cast that the mineral sunscreens leave if you're someone who wears mineral sunscreen. But the only caveat is that it says it may contain iron oxides. So iron oxides, they're not a UV filter, but they have been shown to give us some protection from visible light. So visible light is that spectrum of the sun that can worsen pigmentation. It also affects premature, you know, speeds up aging. And then, you know, visible light also comes from the devices that we're on as well. From the devices, it's probably not going to be as strong as the visible light from, you know, that we're getting from the sun, but it, you know, it's something that kind of adds up into the grand scheme of things with cumulative exposure, right? A lot of foundations, powders, concealers will contain iron oxides. It's a pigment that kind of gives the foundation its color. Now, why that says may contain, and Fenty's not the only brand, a lot of brands will say this as well, is because when a brand is going to how can I make this, explain this in an easy way? So when a brand is going to like submit their product for like approval or whatever, right? A lot of times instead of having to, like for instance, Fenty I believe has 40 shades in the powder foundation. Instead of having to submit each of the 40 shades individually, there's some sort of like thing where they can just group them all together because it's a similar product, but there's just like slight variations. And in here, the slight variations would be the shades. So some may contain more iron oxides than others. So now I'm feeling like, why did I even mention this? But anyway, you know, just some food for thought, because I know sometimes people like that kind of like information. But I picked up shade 480. Now 480 is obviously not my shade in Fenty. My shade in Fenty is a 445. But I purposely bought something deeper and warmer in undertone because I wanted to kind of play around with like, you know, like a warmer contour, or even to use this as bronzer. So I picked this up, really liked it. But also I also picked up the Fenty bronzer, the Thick Mint 09 shade, which I think came out in March as well. I bought them both on the same day, but I picked this up and I had already set in my mind that I wanted to try it. And then I actually saw this bronzer. So I use this as like to set my contour, and then I use this as a bronzer, but this is like a warmer version of what I would usually set my contour with. Because you know, you typically with a contour, you want something either neutral undertones or cool undertones to create that shadow, whereas warmth is something that's redder is gonna warm you up like the way a bronzer would. Anyway, I actually really like this because when Fenty first came out with their bronzers, I was so excited. There's a video on it as well. But then I was like, that excitement turned into disappointment because the deepest shade at the time, which was Mocha Mommy, was like not doing anything for my skin. So I'm so glad to see that they came out with this shade because I really like it. And again, for more info on bronzers, because some people think that bronzers on a deeper skin tone are gonna look the same as a bronzer on a lighter skin tone. That's just not it. For more on bronzers, make sure you check out my other videos because while bronzers aren't a new product category at all, I do think that in recent years, we're seeing way more bronzer options for deeper skin tones. So there is some confusion because it is a new category for some of us with deeper skin tones who may not have used a bronzer before. Why do we need it? All of that is in that video, so check that out. Now for some products that were just like, they white, but So first up, the Peter Thomas Roth Matte Shine Control Sunscreen, SPF 45. So, I mean, I think it doesn't take a genius. If you watched one of my videos, you probably know why I picked this up, because I have oily skin. Summertime is coming, and, you know, it's time for, you know, formulas that are more conducive to how oily my skin is gonna get as it gets warmer out, right? So, you can wear this on its own. You don't need a separate moisturizer on underneath unless like one day you feel like, I could use a separate moisturizer on underneath it. But I think for most people with oily skin, this will be fine on its own. It does feel a little thick and it can feel a little hard to rub in. But I think that because one of my favorite oil control sunscreen products from Murad has a similar texture to it, and I found that to be really great in helping to like balance the oil. But this was just okay. I feel like it could have done more, and we're not even in summertime yet. Like, it's barely spring sometimes here in New York. I definitely will say that I'll still use this, of course, but on days where maybe if I'm not wearing makeup or if it's not that hot out, I'll still wear this, because I mean, I did use quite a bit of it. So I think like even if I tried to return it, they'd be like, girl, for real? Even though I think they still would take it, I think in the back of their minds, they'd be like, and then type my name down on some kind of list. Also, I did kind of feel like this didn't play very nicely with some products. I did notice some pilling, even when waiting in between for products to kind of like settle before I put that on. I still noticed some pilling. Now, usually pilling will happen if, you know, you put a product on too soon before, you know, like if you put something, like if you put this on, so if you put this on and your skin is still kind of damp from the previous product, you know, you may have some pilling. But even when I let the product fully dry down and then put that on, I still had a little bit of pilling. Pilling can also occur because the bases are different. So if you have something that's oil-based and something that's water-based, you know, sometimes they may not play nicely with each other. But it was hard to tell with this one because it's like, I don't even have much in my skincare routine, period. Like, I have even less in my skincare routine during the day than I do at night. So it's a mixed bag with this one. So it's just like, it's alright. I almost feel kind of bad putting the Fenty Skin Tint in the middle because it is a great product. It does exactly what it says it's going to do. It's something that's going to give you light. I wouldn't even say light. I would say this is like in between light and medium. So I found that this was enough to kind of give my skin a slightly even look. Obviously, I still needed concealer for discoloration underneath my eyes and some dark spots I have on my chin and on my forehead right now. So it does what it says it's going to do. I just didn't find myself reaching for it that often. Who knows? Maybe that might change in the summertime, but for now, it's just like, it's in the middle. If you've tried the Fenty Skin Tint and you love it or you hate it or whatever, let me know in the comments below. And now for the fails. Now the funny thing is I was gonna put this in the middle, but then I was like, no, actually it's a fail. And this Dior Backstage Face and Body powder, no powder. Like, this could also kind of be like my own fault because I saw someone who I love, and I'm sure you can probably relate to this too sometimes, like, and it's not the fault of the person who I saw it with at all. Which is why I hate when people try to like blame influencers, like, I bought this product because you said that you liked it and it didn't work on me. And it's just like, we're different people sometimes, you know? So I'm not faulting the person who influenced me to buy this at all. I probably should have, you know, read a little bit better. It is a nice product. I would say if you have dry skin, that this probably would be something that you like. This is a Perfecting Translucent Powder Natural Radiant Blur Effect. Actually, you know what? It says all day matte finish, and I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Basically, my issue with this powder was that it was like, but I didn't put any powder on. But it says it's a no powder powder, right? So it's like, it's partly me, it's partly this powder, right? So I do think that this is something, if you have drier skin, it might be better for you because this, I was like, what did I set my foundation with? I might as well have just set my foundation with like thoughts and prayers, like nothing happened. I would consider myself to be a very savvy consumer. I'm also someone who knows a ton about beauty, and you know, perhaps some may call me a beauty expert. However, I got sucked into the hype. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, I got sucked into the hype of this Bumbleclot TikTok foundation, right? So this is the Good Apple Skin Perfecting Foundation Balm from KVD Beauty. Now, Kat Von D has long since been booted from the company. She has no financial interest. She gets no financial benefit from my understanding of the bootation of her from the company, right? So this was the foundation that people were like going all crazy over on TikTok, right? Now, here's the thing. When I would watch these TikTok videos, the people would swipe like one swipe of it on their face and be like, oh, go buy this. And I'd be like, girl, I need a little bit more information than that. Like, but TikTok videos are pretty short. So it was like, okay, whatever. But then curiosity killed the cat. And I was like, all right, let me go try this punk ass foundation. Now, the beginning of what made this so terrible, such a terrible experience for me, was in the start. So from the start, it was sold, like a lot of it was sold out. So I had to rely on like the shade finder on Sephora to kind of see like, okay, what shade am I gonna wear? I plugged in my information, told the Sephora shade finder that I wore 6.5N in the Dior foundation, which matches me nice, I have it on now. And it told me to get shade Tan 74. And I was just like, in whose world am I a tan anything, right? So the next problem was, because I was like, nah, Tan 74 can't be right at all. So the next problem is the swatches that they have online. And I'm not even talking about influencer swatches. I'm talking about the swatches that the KVD beauty team probably had someone, you know, photograph and whatnot. Those swatches are darker than what the product actually looks like, right? So Tan 74, even though it looked darker than what it actually wound up looking like, because when I went in the store and looked at Tan 74, and I'll pop in some swatches here, I was like, yeah, man, no way is Tan 74 my shade, right? And then there's a Tan 76, which I have here, but they didn't even have a display for Tan 76. Like, not even to say that there was no tester or they just had Tan 76 out of stock. In the display itself, you know, it says the names of the products and the shades of the products. They didn't even have a slot for Tan 76. I'm like, okay. So in the store, I'm like, okay, I'm not Tan 74. There's no Tan 76 here. I'm like, let me go to the deep like I normally am in the deeper shades. So then I went back home, went online. Make a long story short, I wound up getting Deep 84 because it was for deep skin with neutral undertones. And the thing is, although that this is probably a little, like it's a little too dark for me, but it does match the darker parts of my face because, you know, a lot of us are multi-hued in our faces. Particularly, we're darker around the perimeter and lighter in the center. So this matched the darker around the perimeter parts of my face. So I could wear this, and then once I highlight and, you know, put, you know, my blush and finish up my makeup, this is not that bad of a shade match. It's not perfect, obviously, but it's not that bad of a shade match. Then someone left a comment, because I did a live first impressions of the foundation, which I will link below. Someone said if you're 445 in Fenty to use shade Tan 76. Now I'm like, tan, I don't belong to nobody's tan nothing. But turns out that Tan 76, I can't say that the Tan 76 is a perfect shade because I did not like the way Tan 76 looked on my skin. Tan 76 is like this is like a little too warm for me, which would be fine if this had a different finish. The finish on this is like, hello, every single pore, hello, dry, almost powdery type of finish. This is the type of full coverage foundation where it looks so obvious that it's full coverage. To me at least, right? That's not the kind of look that I like with my makeup. There are full coverage foundations out there that can still allow your skin to look like skin. Dior has one, I think it's called Dior Forever Full Cover or something like that. And then Becca had one, well, rest in peace, Becca. But there are full coverage foundations out there that can make your skin still look like skin. This was like very flat. You would definitely need to add dimension back to your face. And even then, it's still, it highlights, it highlighted stuff that I didn't even know I had on my skin. I was just like, when did my skin ever look like this with this foundation? So it's a fail for me. I was initially gonna put this in the, it wasn't that bad. But now that I think of all the drama of the shade matching, swatches that the brand provided online being darker than what the foundation actually looks like, then the foundation itself being like not making my skin look its best. So the shade Tan 76, like I mentioned before, the shade Tan 76 wouldn't have been that bad for me if the finish was a little bit better. So if it had more of a like a satin matte finish or a satin finish, then the shade would look a little bit better. But when you combine something that, like when you have a full coverage foundation, you have to be very spot on with those undertones. Otherwise, you will look jacked up. So, no. If you have tried this foundation and you liked it or you didn't like it, let me know below in the comments. One thing I forgot to add, if you are looking for a cream foundation that's going to be kind of similar in texture and feel, but give you more of a nice, healthy skin-like look, try the Cover FX Total Cover Cream. It was one of my favorites for years. I wore shade N110. You can't get it at Sephora anymore, but you can get it from the Cover FX website, from Ulta, and maybe a couple of other places, so I'll link it below. Now it's your turn to do the talking. Let me know what are your faves and fails for the month of April. Get all chitty chatty in the comments. Follow me on social, because when I'm not here on YouTube, I am elsewhere spreading my cheer across the internet. And I'll see you fine folks in my next video. Bye guys.